break, but that's okay.
You hear them talking to you?
They're not talking to me yet.
Miles, you hear us?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hopefully Miles can hear us.
Miles, can you hear us?
Ariel's mic check right
Oh,
now.
we're on.
All right.
Okay, it sounds like you hear you guys.
Yay. Welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstad here with Victor Prieto. And Victor, we are about to do something exciting today, which is talk all things Braves. We, of course, know it's spring training, and I don't care if you are a diehard Braves fan or if you are just a baseball fan for the vibes, right? We're going to talk all things, get you excited for the season, and Victor, I think it's great you're sharing the desk.
Yes, thank you for having me up here. It's great to be up here in the digital desk alongside you, Ariel, and it's baseball season, right?
Yes.
Braves spring training.
It may not be like the weather outside for it.
It's a little cold, a little chilly, but we're getting to baseball season. A couple weeks ago, we had the nice little heat front. That was the baseball weather we're looking for. But like you said, spring training, we have our crew right now down in Florida that we're going to get to in a little bit, but with spring training and the Braves, it's always an exciting time because, you know, it's that fresh new year, the optimism, the hope is there, especially after the last couple of years the Braves have had where they've had those unfortunate endings in the postseason. So it's very exciting.
We're looking forward to new beginnings and fresh starts. And I think a big thing for fans who maybe aren't familiar or who aren't super big with baseball, what is spring training? Can you give us an overview, Victor?
Yeah, basically spring training is like the preseason, right, for baseball. You go down to Florida, basically the entire MLB is down in Florida in two different leagues, the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League, and they're just practicing, they're training, right? They're getting to know their teammates, getting loose, getting ready for a very long marathon baseball season, and then they start playing exhibition games, right? Preseason games against each other, and eventually they'll come back here and get ready for opening day, which is in just about a month.
I can't believe that we're almost there. I'm ready for the hot dogs. I'm ready for the baseball fans. I'm ready for it. But to get ready for it, of course, we need players who are healthy.
Yes.
We need players who are mentally ready for this game. And I know that we have some key players who've suffered some injuries, and that's been a big topic with the Braves.
Health. That's definitely the one thing that all Braves fans and just Braves players are going to be hoping to sustain this season. I mean, last year you had Spencer Strider go down after his second start. Ronald Acuna Jr., the former MVP, I believe only played 60-something games. You lost Chris Sale at the end of the season. I mean, Michael Harris, Austin Riley didn't finish. You could just go on a list and basically every Braves player at some point. And look, it's sports, it's baseball. Injuries are going to happen.
Absolutely.
But it just seemed to be so
one thing after the other.
Yeah, it was a wave and it just didn't stop.
And you know, it's not like injuries just heal up in the off season, right? And then you're just ready to go as soon as baseball season starts. You're good on opening day. There are some of these players who may not be ready until later on in the season. I think with Acuna, that's a big thing that people, and I know that you guys have been talking about here in our sports department, is what does that look like when he returns, because it may not be right away.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll go to Myles Garrett in a little bit, who's down there, and he's been talking with Acuna, and that's been a lot of their coverage so far this week, kind of, because it's the first time we get to see him in quite a while since he's been hurt. But like you said, Acuna actually tore his meniscus a couple of years ago, and when he came back, great season. It's just one of those things where, you know, it's going to take some time coming back from injury.
Yeah.
But him and Strider both are going to have to get with it here when they come back from injury.
I mean, you can see them practicing and kind of get a sense for what they're able to do and how things are looking. I always feel bad because, you know, they're practicing, but they have all these cameras on them. So it's like, how much are they really able to do? But I do think at some point, maybe here in the next minute or so, we should go out to Miles and probably hear what he has to say. So I think, Victor, why not? Let's see what our folks over in Northport, Florida are doing. I know we have Justin Felder down there and Myles Garrett. So Let's send it out to them so we can get a look at what they're seeing from the players down in Florida and what we're looking at and expecting. So Miles, give us a rundown.
Hey, Victor, guys, or Ariel, good to see you guys both here on this sunny day in Northport, Florida. We've been down here for about a week now getting to know and getting to see this 2025 Braves roster. You guys have just touched on just about all the major points for this team. The injuries, the disappointment of last year, not getting to at least a little bit farther in the playoffs like this team wanted to be. They went to the World Series just a few years ago. Has been met with a little bit of unsuccess, rather, if you want to have a word there, for the playoffs. But as you can see behind me, I'm going to step out of frame here. All the players are here. It's a full squad workout. We've seen the pitchers and catchers kind of getting to get acquainted, rather, with this Northport crew. The outfield is out here. The infielders are here. The pitchers and catchers are kind of in a separate area at this point. But some fans really have been able to kind of get a glimpse at what this team is going to look like, right? They haven't been able to be here for the first few days. They're here now, getting acquainted with what this team looks like. We obviously know all the major players, right? Matt Olson at first base, Ozzie Albies at second, Orlando Arcia at shortstop, Austin Riley at third, and of course we know about the MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr., trying to come back from that injury. He said he's at about 90 to 95%. Obviously, the team wants to make sure he is back healthy and ready to go, the best that he can be when that time comes. But we've seen him a couple times in the batting cages. Looks like that former MVP self, but of course we want to take that knee as seriously as you can, of course, having 2 injuries back in 2021 and then last year. But this is what it's looking like right now. It's a very great weather out here. Hope you guys aren't too jealous of me out here. I know it's a little cold back home in Atlanta, but the weather has certainly been fantastic. We're going to have a lot of different stuff to show you guys here. We're going to walk you all through the ballpark a little bit later on in this broadcast, but we've got some guests we're going to be bringing along too. We've got Greg Mize, Vice President of Marketing, and a couple other folks we're going to bring in here soon. Greg's going to join us here in just a couple of minutes, but as you can see, they're going through some hitting drills right now. Matt Olson just took some grounders here, and looks like Ozzie Albies is going to take some himself. So we'll let you guys watch here for just a second.
Thanks, Miles. That was awesome there. I think you guys have us beat by the weather by just a little bit, right? What was it this morning when we woke up, like 35 degrees?
33, absolutely.
Yeah, just a little bit,
Florida's looking much nicer at this time.
Yeah.
But it's so good to see the players practicing and to hear some of the progress that's being made. I think we're just excited to see what's going to happen next. And as Miles continues to watch, and I know Justin's down there too, of course, taking a look at what some of the strategies are, we're going to have a better idea moving forward what some of this is going to be as players continue to heal.
Yeah, I love it. If Miles is still there, I'd love to ask him a couple questions. I'm not sure if we still got him.
See, hopefully he
see.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, Miles. So, I mean, you've been down there now for, what, a week and a half almost. What is kind of one of your biggest takeaways, especially when it comes to the Acuna rehab and stuff like that? We've seen your videos, and we've seen coverage here, Fox 5, of him in the cage, him getting better. He was even speaking English to reporters, which we love to see.
Yes.
Kind of just, what has his week been like in terms of what have you observed?
Yeah, no, you talk about that English. It was funny. The first day we spoke to him, he kind of caught all of us off guard speaking in English. Usually he uses Franco as his translator, which, of course, I'm sure he might use a little bit more this season. But, yeah, no, he said he's gotten to learn a little bit of English slang from his teammates. But, yeah, speaking for the baseball aspect of things, I just mentioned 90 to 95%. That's what he told us. But, look, even he knows that he's going to have to take it a little bit easier, at least on the base path. We know what he did a couple years ago, that 40-70 season, 40 home runs. 70 stolen bases. Obviously, the knee is a big point of that aggressiveness, that style that he plays with in the outfield and obviously on the base path, getting to generate some more runs, really. That's the big thing with Ronald Acuna Jr. And in addition to, obviously, the power that he displays. You're seeing him on the field right now with Ozzie Albies walking a little bit closer to our cameras right now. It looks like he's going toward the outfield. Tossing what appears to be a shoe out there, but yeah, no, I think that was the biggest takeaway from Ronald Acuna Jr. speaking to us about getting ready, getting right, making sure that he paces himself so that he's right this season.
And being down there too, Miles, I would say there's a lot to take away from this team, right? Especially with I wouldn't say a lot of new guys, but a lot of old faces that are coming back from injury that we haven't seen in a while. What is the kind of synopsis, I guess, there in terms of how everyone else is doing on their recovery effort? I mean, we talked about Spencer Strider too, but just there was a lot of injuries last year, right? A lot of injuries.
One after the other.
And it was crazy. So how's it looking with some of the other guys?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's basically at full strength right now, obviously outside of Spencer Strider. Both him and Ronald Acuna Jr. will not be on the opening day roster, but given the circumstances of their injuries, I think it's very uplifting or positive. There's a lot of optimism there, knowing that they're going to be back sooner rather than later, of course, with the severity of those injuries. But Sean Murphy, he was the guy that suffered an injury in the very first game of the season last year. He's back to full strength. There's a different turnover there at the catcher position with Travis d'Arnaud. No longer here. Drake Baldwin, obviously one of the biggest prospects in all of Major League Baseball. He is the Braves' #1 prospect. He's going to probably work his way into the mix. But Austin Riley, I mean, you guys basically said it. This whole team has dealt with injuries last season, and right now they appear to be back at full strength, and that's going to be a big aspect of this team getting back to where they need to be as being a playoff threat. You know, the pitching staff, Chris Sale, he's back to full strength right now. I know he suffered that injury at the worst possible time last year at that game there at the very end against the Mets, and obviously didn't have him for that Padres series. But from a health standpoint, this team looks very good at this point.
That's what you want to hear, right? You want to be healthy going into the season. Hopefully it can stay with it. All right, thanks, Miles. We'll get back to you in just a little bit. But
Absolutely. It's great to see the progress that people are making. I know health is a big thing. We want our players to feel great, be mentally ready for the game, and especially as we look ahead, we're about to go to a short break in just a minute or so. When we come back, we have a few storylines we want to talk about, right? There are a lot of younger pitchers who, because of these injuries, might have an opportunity to shine this season. I want to talk about who they are and what they could mean to the team. Also, what the coaching staff did in the offseason, maybe some strategic moves that were made or not made, depending where you stand on that issue. So we're going to go ahead and send it over to a quick break. But when we return, we've got more Braves spring training in just a little bit. Thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, we just went to break. We're going to come back out and have you. So. Sorry, were you saying anything? I apologize.
No, you're good.
Check. That's it. You got the bottle. That's perfect.
Oh yeah, we got to go down. They have.
Yes, we're going to start with that. So we'll start with him.
Okay.
That works. Yeah.
Let me switch this out real quick. Also, my computer kept.
Can you
shutting
guys
off
hear
for
me?
no good reason.
Yes.
Ariel.
Yes.
Victor?
Yes. You hear me?
Yeah, just FYI, you guys are very, very overmodulated. I mean, when you guys, I don't know if it's like a microphone or anything, but it's slightly difficult to hear y'all. But just wanted to give y'all a heads up. I don't know if there was anything y'all could fix on y'all's end, or I don't know if it's my end or anything.
Okay. Did you hear him? Did you?
I can hear y'all almost like the way you're talking right now. I
good?
can hear y'all pretty clear. I don't know if you guys are talking close to the mic or something, but when that happens, it kind of gets a little muffled.
Okay.
Yeah, weirdly, I cannot hear out of this IFB at all for some reason. Unless, can Miles try saying something like, I'm not even hearing fuzz?
Yeah,
is really
Ariel,
bizarre.
mic check, mic check, mic check.
He's going mic check, mic check, mic check.
Yeah, no.
He hears you.
Okay, well, at least he hears me. Maybe
Do
I will
we-
just turn up that TV by 1 notch, if you don't mind, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Okay,
just
yeah,
by
and Victor,
1 notch.
FYI, Greg's gonna join me right off the
Yes.
top. He tossed to me.
Yes, you got it. We're still in the break. So you
Okay.
hear?
I can't, but we'll see how it goes.
We can get one of the XLR
And we'll
to
see.
aux adapters, maybe.
Well,
We have one of those.
that sound?
It sounds great, doesn't it?
Welcome back to Braves Spring Training. I'm Ariel Onstad here with Victor Prieto. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here with us on Fox Local as we talk all things Braves and as we get ready for the upcoming season. So Victor and I have been talking a lot of things here at the desk. We're going to get into some new storylines for the Braves, you know, coaching staff, pitchers, some changes that have been made in the offseason. But first, we do want to get out to Myles Garrett, who is down in Northport, Florida. He has a special guest, and we want to hear more from that side of things, from the strategy down in Florida. It's been incredible seeing the players kind of work on their health and get ready. So, Myles, take it away. What's going on?
Hey guys, yeah, obviously back here at Northport at CoolToday Park. Obviously, I know a lot of Braves fans, one of their favorite things to do when they go to Truist Park is getting the bobbleheads. I know in our sports department, we certainly have a couple that have been our personal favorites. I'm joined now by the Braves Vice President of Marketing, Greg Mize. You know all about bobbleheads, don't you? Do you have any personal favorites by chance?
You know, it's like you can't choose your favorite kid. Very similar. You can't choose your favorite bobblehead. They're all amazing.
They're all the best. So it's a big season in store, right? 2025, we know what's gone on the past couple of seasons. Obviously, you, with the marketing standpoint, what should some Braves fans expect to see this year from your standpoint?
So, I mean, obviously, covering what's most important on the field, we're super excited. You know, the gang's back together. You know, so last year with all the injuries, you know, really just made for an interesting season, but they're going to be full strength. They're going to be ready to go, and that creates just an even better atmosphere at Truist Park for our home games.
Sounds like a great summer in store. Now, we just talked about the bobbleheads. We've got 3 of them right here that some Braves fans might be seeing this season. This one might be my favorite.
So this one's awesome. So Chris Sale, it's celebrating his Cy Young, his Gold Glove, and then he's wearing the crown as last year's Triple Crown winner. So really, really cool. This one, also one of my favorites.
It's a good one.
Rafael Iglesias, you know, obviously was one of the most dominant closers in baseball last year, doing his signature, pointing up to the air after he gets his 3rd and final out. So excited about this one. And a little bit different.
This is a good one, too.
This is a good one. So as you may or may not know, before the All-Star game, all the players who are in the game parade down a red carpet into the stadium, and they always are breaking out some just epic outfits. So this is inspired by one of Ronald's outfits a couple of years back. So it's his red carpet bobblehead. So again, definitely, I think the fans also enjoy when we do things maybe not typical in terms of a player in a batting stance, or so, you know, when we can get them in different outfits, uniforms, poses, that really makes for a fun bobblehead.
Now, talking about the All-Star game, Ronald Acuna Jr. there in his Sunday's best, whatever you might call it. He's always looking pretty good. The All-Star game is coming back to Atlanta this year after some disappointment. It wasn't there a few years ago, but it will be here at Truist Park this season. What should some fans expect to see? Obviously, I'm sure the atmosphere is going to be incredible there.
It's going to be a week-long party. I mean, it's going to be awesome. We are so excited. And obviously, you've got the game on Tuesday. You've got the Home Run Derby on Monday. But there are going to be things going on the days leading up to it, and really things that anyone can do, right? So a couple of examples. We've got the All-Star Village, which is a huge fan fest. It's going to be at the Cobb Galleria Center. That's going to be open starting on Friday, so you can go and check out all the cool things there. We've got the Swingman Classic, which is a HBCU baseball showcase. That's going to be at Truist Park. And then we've also got the Celebrity Softball game and the Future Star game. So we've got so many things, even not even counting the Derby in the game, that fans are going to be able to do. So we're really excited about that.
As you look in the background, Ronald Acuna Jr. just had some BP. Orlando Arcia now taking the stance here. We're going to see a few other Braves hitters getting to get some reps in the batting cages. But
do we have helmets for? I mean, if they're
oh yeah, probably smart, right?
BP. I mean, I don't know if I want to be up here.
Yeah,
with
I know. I'll watch out for you. Make sure a 4 is called here just in case. But some celebrity all-stars. Are we going to expect any Atlanta celebrities to be coming to that? Or is it too early?
No, without a doubt. Obviously, All-Star is a league event, right? It's one of their crown jewel events. But there's a lot of work that the host team, the host city, put into it, and we want to make this a celebration of all the great things about Atlanta. Obviously, we've got baseball covered, but culture and music and art and food, there's just going to be a little bit of something for everyone all throughout the city during All-Star.
Should be a good time. Cannot wait to go and check out Truist at that point. Now, this weekend, guys, it was the Daytona 500. To kick off this NASCAR season this upcoming week, of course, we'll be at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Braves are going to get a little taste of racing at the end of this season, facing off against the Reds at Bristol Motor Speedway. Can you talk to me about that event and what led to it and how that event's going to go?
It's going to go awesome. There's going to be 85,000 people there. So obviously, what was it, maybe 10 years ago, Bristol hosted the Tennessee-Virginia Tech football game. And I think ever since then, they've been interested in doing, other types of events at Bristol. And, when the idea came up to do a baseball game, obviously it makes so much sense. Bristol is in our territory. We have so many fans there all throughout the Southeast. And it's going to be a spectacle. It's going to be a little bit of what you see at a race and a little bit of what you see in a ball game, sort of all put into one.
Yeah, we've got Ronald Acuna Jr. back out in the batting cages. Got to keep a heads up here in case one of these flies above our heads. Wouldn't be surprised to see, that one looks like it might be headed out of the ballpark here. Let's see where that one lands. Oh yeah, that one went by the scoreboard. Yeah, should expect to see a lot of that from number 13 this season. Greg, going to be really exciting to see with Bristol. Obviously, we've seen a college football game there before. What are the logistics behind that? Getting a baseball game at Bristol. I think fans underestimate the sheer size of a NASCAR track and where it actually shapes out. I think a lot of folks were surprised to see when that college football game was there, just how little that field actually was, comparatively speaking.
So, again, not to spec, but we can fit about 2 Truist Parks inside of Bristol Motor Speedway. That's not the field, that's the entire stadium. So you take 2 of those, drop it in Bristol, and that's what you're going to have. So definitely it's going to look different, but I think that's part of the uniqueness of the event, and I think that's why it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime event to go to, right? I mean, to be a part of setting the record for a regular season baseball game, and especially again with so many of our fans being NASCAR fans, it's just the perfect overlap.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I think Braves country might be the biggest in all of baseball, encompassing the entire Southeast, and like you said, really going all the way up to Bristol right now. I believe it looks like Matt Olson is taking some swings out there. Hopefully he returns to form from his 2023 self, breaking the Braves single-season home run record. Ariel, Victor, a lot of exciting stuff in store for the Braves here in 2025.
Yeah, it's so exciting, Miles. I love hearing all the big things in store, especially those bobbleheads look really great. We have a lot of good things coming. Baseball at a speedway, at the Bristol Motor Speedway, that's going to be incredible, that energy. And, Victor and I were looking and hoping you guys did not get hit by any errant
I know,
balls.
you guys got to duck, take cover, be prepared. You're in the danger zone a little bit, but no, great job.
Miles, thank you. That was amazing. So we're going to switch gears now to talk a little bit about the young pitchers. We were talking about how there are some new opportunities, a storyline right this year that some of these young pitchers could get an opportunity to shine because of what has happened with the Braves roster over the past season.
Well, yeah, you have to look at on the and if you just look at the 5 rotation starters, right? You have Chris Sale coming back, but you lose Max Fried, who has been your perennial ace for quite some time. Charlie Morton, also a guy we thought he was going to retire. Miles and I were at San Diego when the season ended, and we talked to him, and it very well seemed like that was where he was headed, but no, he's coming back and he's going to Baltimore, so he's not with the Braves too. So you have 2 realistic spots you need to replace. Spencer Strider won't be ready by opening day, so there's a lot of opportunity there, like you said, and you have to look at guys that you called up last year. Spencer Schwellenbach, maybe some young guys. Ian Anderson, we haven't seen him since for a while. He's been in Gwinnett. Remember
Yeah.
Ian Anderson, the tales of him. He threw a no-hitter or almost no-hitter, 5 innings in the no-hitter or in the World Series. Then they pulled him. But young guys like that, A.J. Smith-Shawver, we saw him in the postseason last year. He's only, 22 years old. A lot of opportunity for these guys. We actually, Miles caught up with Ian Anderson, so we'll hear from him now.
Yeah, let's check out what Ian Anderson has to say about the season.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Like I said, it's kind of it's where you see yourself at the end of it all, but obviously sometimes it doesn't quite happen as fast as you think. So, yeah, I always felt like I'd be ready when my name was called. So just waiting on that opportunity. Just really trying to get back to where I was. That's a big part of it. I realized that I think what I was pretty damn good for a while. So mostly just trying to get back to that. You know, maybe adding a few things here and there that you guys will see, but yeah, other than that, just trying to get back to where I was and get back into a good mental space to go out and compete. And I think getting those innings under my belt last year was a big start for that.
I've seen video and I watched him to a side the other day, and that's about it. So I'll kind of zero in on him when we start facing hitters and the games. But yeah, I mean, he should do all that, but he's not very old yet. I mean, he's been through a lot at a young age and experienced a lot, which is why I'm excited about seeing him, because I know he loves to compete, he loves to pitch, and you know, he's worked his tail off the last couple of years to get back. So hopefully it works out for him.
Really exciting to hear some of those opportunities that are upcoming. I feel like if I were Ian Anderson, I would definitely be thinking about those next steps. And of course, hearing from the different coaching staff and players as we're going to get to as this continues to stream. I do want to shout out, speaking of stream, our YouTube audience, because I know that some of you are hanging out with us on YouTube. Victor and I love to see it. We have our screens here and we're checking out some of what you have to say. We love having you with us, so thank you. We hope you're pumped for all things Braves and Braves spring training. So with that in mind, we do want to get to a look at some important dates for the Braves this year, because I know Miles was talking about it with Greg Mize, you know, at marketing and just some of the big things to consider and to look at. So Victor, let's check this out. For the 2025 season, you know, our first big thing, we're happening February 22nd. We have the first spring training game. And then it looks like we have the season opening series with the San Diego Padres, March 27th to 30th. And then April, like you were saying, a big game. That's, what would that be, opening day?
Home opener. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, just look at spring training, by the way. It's in, what, 4 days?
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane? And
Yeah.
we got MLB All-Star Game, remember, in Atlanta this year
I
at
cannot
Truist
wait.
Park.
Pumped.
Which is going to be great. And like Miles was saying, Braves and Reds in Bristol Motor Speedway, something that's going to be such a fun and cool event, so different and unique.
And just to have the crossover between the Napa, you know, the NASCAR fans, and then of course looking at baseball, as Greg was kind of saying, there is such a good crossover between those fans, so it's lovely to see. We're going to be talking all things that and the coaching staff in the off season, what they're going to do. So thanks for hanging with us. We're going to take a short break. Welcome back in. I'm Ariel Onstad here with Victor Prieto, and we are talking all things Braves spring training. Victor, I'm having a blast. How about you?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's baseball season. Come on.
Especially if you're not even a diehard baseball fan and you just go for baseball vibes. We're talking all things to get you in that mood. Now, the weather here in Atlanta may not feel that way, but to get us there even quicker, Miles, down in Northport, Florida. And Victor, he's going to talk to a special guest for us just about now.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what he has to say. Miles, what do you got?
Hey guys, yeah, we've got another special guest for you guys. We're here at CoolToday Park. It's where the Braves have their spring training. I'm joined now by Mike Dunn, the Vice President of Florida Operations for this team. Mike, obviously this park has a lot of cool features, still relatively new given a lot of other spring training ballparks. What can you tell me about what fans will be able to see here for Braves spring training? It's still relatively new for them too.
Yeah, CoolToday Park's got a ton of amenities for the fans. You know, the one major component's a 360 concourse where you can walk the entire field, stadium. You can watch the game from center field. You can watch the game from left field, right field, down the lines. We've installed drink rails all throughout the ballpark so you can stop and set your food, your drinks down and take a sight in. It's truly to see the game from all perspectives.
Gotcha. And are there any new additions this year? I know, every year maybe some stadiums try to do some things. I know you had mentioned off camera, we had just talked about how you guys have kind of made this park kind of similar to Truist Park in the way that it's formatted, but specifically anything new this year, or is it just still kind of operations per usual, how it's been the past few years?
Well, we're not complacent, I can tell you that. So we always try to do something new, and our food and beverage department has done a great job of spicing up the menu a little bit, from rotisserie chicken to mac and cheese bites to a glorified hot dog, not just a plain hot dog, but a glorified hot dog. So we try to do the food selection for the fan and give them a little delightful aspect of the game. The field itself, when we built and designed this, we were fortunate enough to be able to design the stadium, and we designed it to be very similar to Truist Park in that the foul lines, the power alleys, everything is identical. So when guys are at spring training, going through steps on how much distance they have to the wall, it's really great for the player development aspect of it. So you could take this stadium, pick it up, and set it right in Truist Park, and it would fit like a box.
I'm a little bummed you didn't bring any of these mac and cheese bites for me and any of these hot dogs, but we'll get to that when this live stream is over. But we had also talked about some facilities here. This is kind of a pretty big campus around here at Northport and obviously here at CoolToday Park. You had just mentioned, I'm going to ask Justin here to kind of pan the camera a little bit over to the right here. Can you talk about this new building you have over here specifically for international players?
Yeah, that's our Braves Academy, and that's a central hub for all of our international players and our first-year guys that come into the system. It's basically a boutique hotel. We're able to let them stay on campus, and we have a way of life curriculum where we teach them English, money management, public speaking. And then there's a theater, a barbershop, a 24/7 cafeteria. So all of the amenities that the young guys need is right there, and it helps us to continue the baseball development skill for the young kids and be in the comforts of what would be home. The complex itself is 90 acres. We have 7 fields, so there's a lot to do, and don't have to go very far to do it.
Now, we had just talked about in the last segment, Ronald Acuna Jr. speaking a little bit more English this year. Was he a part of that over there? Were they helping him out there? I know he said his teammates were kind of the primary reason for that.
Yeah, I think Ozzy's probably his best language coach. But yeah, all the players have an opportunity to go through there when they first come into the system and are able to enjoy that curriculum.
Awesome. And first game coming up February 22nd here in just a few days. What are you excited to see from the fan standpoint? You think they're going to bring it here?
Oh yeah, we'll have a very great crowd. It'll be good to see the players back in the uniform on the field and seeing all the little youngsters run around enjoying the America's favorite pastime. So we're looking forward to it.
Awesome, Mike. I really appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us here on this live broadcast. Now, we had just talked about Ronald Acuna Jr., guys. We all know the injuries that he's coming back from. We've seen him in batting practice today. He's hit a couple of home runs already this afternoon, but we had talked about that injury that he's coming back from. We're going to throw to some sound here in just a second, kind of talking about how his recovery's been. At the beginning, we talked about how he's trying to take it a little bit slow, not trying to take things too seriously as of yet. Obviously, the season's just around the corner, so slowly working his way back up to getting into the lineup, but we're going to toss some sound here in the locker room that we heard from him just a few days ago. Going through this before, how does this compare to the last time you had to recover from this?
The last time It's hard because they doing the menisco, but I feel great. That's the more important thing, you know.
Have you approached this any differently than you did the last
No, I feel more stable when I go here. I feel more stable. No, I don't think so. But the priority is I feel great. That's the most important thing. And when they tell me you need to play that day, I'll be there.
You know, Acuna was talking a little bit about how he felt great and he's ready to play as soon as he's told, but it has to be frustrating for this athletes. I mean, we heard from Spencer Strider a little bit about how, you know, it's hard to tell an athlete not to give 100%, even though it may be for like their best health, right?
Yeah, it's hard, Miles.
And it's one of those things that
Victor, what was that? Did you just ask me something?
Yeah, Miles, if you can hear us out there, we're talking a little bit about the difficulties athletes may face in trying to preserve, right, their wellness and their health, and being told maybe to give less than 100% can be difficult. I think Spencer Strider talked a little bit about that. And it's good to see, though, that Ronald Acuna Jr. is in good spirits and looking forward to the next season.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these guys, they're professional athletes. They're used to giving 100% basically at all times, especially a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, when he first started and came into this Braves lineup back in 2018, look, it was tough for him. I mean, you would see some injuries where he'd run to the bases and kind of would get that knee stuck on occasion on first base. I think Braves fans would almost unanimously hold their breath there. But talking about Spencer Strider, let's pull up some video of him. We got him kind of throwing a bullpen session just a few days ago, and it was really encouraging. I don't think a lot of us in the media, at least, expected to see him throwing as hard as he was. If I had to guess, it looked like he was at about 50 to maybe even 60%. He was getting in some good throws over there. And look, when he's at his best, Spencer Strider is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Just a couple of years ago, he led all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts. The man with the stash is coming into this spring training with a beard now. That was the first thing he actually said when we spoke to him just a few days ago. Yes, he has a beard. No, he's not planning on shaving it. It's funny, we actually have a soundbite we're going to show you of that full bite of him talking about his beard, of course, and where he's at, his injury standpoint, and even a percentage standpoint. I asked him about that specifically. Where does he think he is? We just told you about Ronald Acuna Jr., thinking that he's at about 90 to 95%. Spencer Strider, I asked him the same question. He wasn't as full about being 90 to 95%, but he does feel that he's relatively close to that.
Definitely satisfying. I'd go home for the first 2 or 3 weeks that I was in the MLB, and I'd tell my wife, like, this is unreal. Like, this is everything that I dreamed of, and I'm just so happy that, you know, I'm living my dream out. And when I started to throw more innings, throw more games, I started to get a little bit more comfortable, and it just kind of became part of my daily task, daily routine, just to go to the field and just play baseball again. You know, like, it was the first couple starts were definitely a little nerve-wracking and a little sped up for my liking. I don't like to be moving too fast for sure on the mound, but definitely got more comfortable and definitely satisfied with how it went. This is where I expected to be, this is where I wanted to be, this was my goal, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't expect it, because this is what I wanted. But as a, you know, saying that, it's really, you got to cherish these moments, you know, that we have, and stay healthy and do everything that we can to be good teammates for each other.
Good to hear from him, and of course that was actually Spencer Schwellenbach. We have so many Spencers on the Braves. It's kind of fun to hear from different people and their perspectives, and of course hear what they're looking ahead to. I do know, Miles, of course, you were talking about Spencer Strider, and we were watching video of some of his post-game recovery as he was practicing there in spring training. So we do want to hear from him. We're going to try to listen to see what Spencer Strider has to say, because I know Miles was saying he had some funny sound when he started in the locker room. So let's check it out.
Yes, I feel good. No, I don't know when I'll be back. Yes, I have a beard. No, I don't have plans to shave it. Right? We're done? All right. No, I don't really think in those terms. You know, I don't know what 100% is. So, and we're not very good at, just athletes in general, of assessing our percentage effort. If you ask somebody to run it, you ask an Olympic runner to run 85%, I don't know that they're going to really do that well, you know? It's so subjective and dependent upon the day, the context. But like I said earlier, we've been focused on making those incremental improvements, you know, trying to take one step each day, 1%, that kind of focus. And I feel like we're in, like I said, a good kind of spring training spot. We have to do things a little differently just because it's still a rehab process, but I don't feel too dissimilar from where I'd be this time of year in spring training.
Pretty great. I think when he started that off, you could see a little bit of that frustration, right, of him just wanting to get back in the game, but not fully being able to. Miles, I think you set that up pretty perfectly when you were saying you were in the locker room and he was like, no, I'm not cutting the beard. No, I can't play yet. But you can tell his spirit is ready. He wants to be out there. And it's
Yeah, no, he definitely wants to be out there as soon as he can. Yeah, no, it's going to be full strength when Spencer Strider gets back out there. And look, I mean, talking about the pitchers as a whole, they're obviously going to miss Max Fried and his presence, but they feel pretty confident with what they have when, of course, Spencer Strider does return.
Thank you, Miles, so much for keeping us informed. And, of course, your great interview. Victor and I are up here. We're going to continue on. Of course, we want to take a look. One of the big questions is how playoff ready is this team, right? How could we get to the World Series? You take a look at where the Braves stand in their current division. Some might argue they're in one of the toughest divisions.
They didn't win the division last year, right?
Yeah.
One of the first times in a while, but they have made the playoffs 7 straight years, which is quite the accomplishment.
We can be proud of that for sure.
Yes, and this division's tough, though. You talked about it. The Phillies won it last year. The Mets seem to be throwing $1 billion at their team now, and the Mets made that big run last year, obviously, in the playoffs.
So maybe let's let people see this visually, and maybe we pull up a screen of some NL East standings, just so people can kind of get an idea visually of what we're talking about here. I know as we look down at some of this stuff, I want you guys on the YouTube stream, and those of you looking on Fox Local and our FAST channels can watch this as well. So, Victor, as you were walking through this, you can see how dominant the Phillies are.
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies had such a great year, but just very similar to the Braves teams in years past where they had great regular seasons and then kind of fizzled out in the postseason. They just couldn't get it done in that NLDS round. And the Braves, obviously, and the Mets had that really hectic and crazy wild card chase where it came down to the final series, if you remember that craziness of the final week of the regular season where the Braves didn't know if they were going to clinch a spot, and then it came down to a doubleheader against the Mets because of weather, and oh my gosh.
That was thrilling.
That was a day, and then they flew overnight after celebrating to San Diego for the playoffs. Man, last season was a whirlwind. But then, of course, the Nationals and Marlins, the Marlins are probably the worst team in the MLB. I think they've spent a total of like $3 million this offseason. So Marlins maybe won't be a tough foe for the Braves, but the Nationals.
Isn't that our opening day?
Yes, it is. A season opener, or a home opener.
Home opener.
Home opener against the Marlins. Yeah, they have a great pitching staff in Miami, but unfortunately not a very good baseball team right now. But yeah, I mean, the Braves, it's going to come down really to the Phillies and Mets, that kind of dynamic. And like you said, this NL East division is very difficult, but it's also one of those things where you got to put the right baseball for the regular season, and then you got to be ready for the postseason because you want to be playing your best baseball at the end of the year, and that's the difficulty, right, of winning in the MLB and the majors. You want to be
You're in it for the long game.
Over a 162-game season, but you also want to be the team that's the hottest at the end.
Yeah. Talk about endurance. I mean, it's a mindset thing. It's a long haul, right? Because, and you think about the fans, they come in so excited in the beginning. There's that kind of lull. Maybe in the summer, people have vacations and plans, and keeping the fans rocking with you all the way through. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I want to talk about some of the strategy and decisions that were made in the offseason, what kind of team we're actually looking at from a big picture standpoint. So we're actually going to take a break here in probably the next couple of seconds. And when we return, we're going to have more things Braves and spring training. So we'll see you back here in just a bit. Thanks for hanging with us. Welcome back to our Braves Spring Training Special. I'm Ariel Onstad here with Victor Prieto. And we've been talking all things in this 11 o'clock hour. Braves, baseball, we're getting in the mood. And we actually have Myles Garrett and Justin Felder down in Florida, where they have been doing interviews, catching us up on injuries and the health of the players. And I think a big question for Myles I have is, what are some of the feelings about with the offseason, right? Some of the strategy made. The Braves didn't sign a lot of big players in the offseason. So what does that mean for the team and the upcoming roster? Do you think this could create a championship team with what we have now? What are you getting down there for spring training?
Yeah, Ariel, it's a big question. I know a lot of fans have been asking that as far as the lack of moves, for lack of a better term, for this team this past offseason. And look, I think it's important to kind of zoom out for what this Braves team is right now. You look back to last year, it was World Series or bust. That was the slogan. And for the most part, that team is still really the same outside of Max Fried, AJ Minter, a couple of the other guys who have since left this team. But outside of that, almost all the guys are still here. You add a guy like Jurickson Profar, who's now on the field right now. You can see with Ozzie Albies, the Curacao connection. These two are from the same area. Look at the Curacao now basically as being a Braves feeder program with Andrew Jones, Andrelton Simmons, a lot of Braves legends coming from there. We actually spoke to Ozzie about that a couple days ago, actually yesterday, talking about what it's like playing with Profar and how he's been in his recovery process getting back to this season.
No, and the Curacao feeder program to the Braves is pretty funny, and it's, heartwarming to see that connection, and especially when you look at the Braves Academy and how they now have that set up for international players to learn how to manage their money, as you showed us in your previous interview. That's just something special to help Braves players really sing, right, on and off the field. So I know, Victor, you had a question that you wanted to ask Myles as well.
Yeah, it's cool to see that international program growing. And Myles, I think you touched on it a little bit, but I just want to kind of go off of that. Spencer Strider, especially last year, it felt like there were so many guys that had that World Series or bust mantra, right? It was, we're going in here, and coming off that historic season 2 years ago where they had one of the best offenses in MLB history. Now they had a disappointing season last year. Going into this year, what is the vibes around the team like, and do they have that World Series or bust mantra, or is it more of a, let's just see how it plays out and we're going to try and play good baseball?
Yeah, Victor, it's funny you bring that up, and we'll toss to a soundbite here with Alex Anthopoulos kind of speaking about this offseason here momentarily. But speaking about that, almost all the players got asked that very same question this year, because I was with DJ Shockley last year speaking to AJ Minter. He was the first guy to kind of give credence to that World Series or bust mantra that everyone kind of repeated. This year, it's been a little different. We spoke to Matt Olson about that, and he basically said, no, we're not going to be giving any statements this season. We're going to kind of roll with the punches. And really, that's kind of what baseball is all about. It's a very long season, 162 games. Injuries are basically a certainty in this sport. Unfortunately, the Braves were on the wrong end of that with basically their entire team suffering from it. So I think it's more of an acceptance of the reality of what a 162-game season is. And Victor, you mentioned it yourself. It's all about getting hot at the right time for the playoffs. You look at some of the best teams in baseball over the past few years, the Dodgers, of course, being maybe the exception this past year, but some of the best teams really in all of baseball have not been able to make it to the World Series just because of the right team getting hot at the right time. I mean, even back in 2021, the Braves were, hovering around 500 around the All-Star break and got hot at the right time on the way to that World Series run. Their best team of the last few years, 2023, didn't make it out of the NLDS series right there. So it's all about getting hot at the right time. But speaking a little bit to this offseason, Alex Anthopoulos was asked about the moves or lack thereof, and really the confidence this team has in the current group that they have right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the biggest difference is we've spent a lot on our own players, right? So we've made a lot of commitment. I haven't looked at it in the last few years. But I think we have the most probably long-term contracts of the majority of teams. If you start looking around the roster, not necessarily in the rotation, but we have long-term contracts all over the place. So even still, we didn't have that many holes. Now we've lost free agents, no doubt about it, but we have some people we're going to give opportunities to. Strider and Fried are not the same, but we lost Strider for last year. We had the best ERA in the game, and we lost Fried now, but Strider comes back. We lose Charlie Morton. can Grant Holmes take that opportunity and be that guy? We think he's certainly got a chance to do that. From an offensive standpoint, we lost Ronald, and we think getting him back is going to be big as well. So Joe Jimenez is the one loss that we haven't been able to account for. We're hoping guys like Daysbel Hernandez can certainly take a step, but we'll see how with the other guys we have in camp. So we won 89 games a year ago with a lot of things going wrong. And look, the other thing is with the position players we have, a lot of them had for their careers down years. Really, other than Ozuna, everyone took a bit of a step back. So they're still young, they're still elite, talented players. There's upside for them to be better than that. So we explored all kinds of things, signings, trades, things like that. But again, we have our payroll's in the top 10. We have a lot of commitments already, and we're going to be much more selective in things that we do.
Great to hear from him. Miles, thank you so much. You heard about the selectivity the Braves are going to have to enforce going forward, and just looking at who they pick right in the offseason, because truthfully, there's only so much money to go around, but it's also this idea of building a championship mindset. Timing is everything. I know you spoke a little bit about how you have to be in it for the long haul, and sometimes the best teams don't make it to the World Series, and sometimes that's just the reality. So from Victor and I up here at the desk, Miles, thank you so much for your time. I know we're wrapping it up here soon for Brave Spring Training, but thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you, Miles.
So one of the things I want to take a look at now as we're about to send this into break is we have some, of course, big things to look forward to that we are excited for. We thank all of you for rocking with us here, both on YouTube and on Fox Local, as we talk all things Braves. Of course, the temperatures may not feel in Atlanta, but the season is coming. So, Victor, thanks for being with me here on the desk.
Thank you guys for having baseball season. We're almost here.
Almost. We're going to go ahead and send it to a break before our noon show.